And promotional purposes, yeah, we are recording.
So do you have more you want to say, Edwin, or is that?
No, that was it. You're up.
All right. So welcome, everyone. I'm Lou Zweier. I'm from California in the United States, Northern California, and I want to welcome you to the second session of the 4-session training on facilitating empathy circles. So great to see all your faces again, and I feel very grateful that you are all here taking your time, precious time, to learn this practice and to help us create a culture of empathy, and to spread it in your communities wherever they are across the globe. I want to introduce the other instructors. So Bill Filler is the other main instructor for this course, and then we have instructors in training, which is Ann Jordan and Dean Bowles and Ben Kramer. So they're going to be, all of us together are going to be doing different parts of this training and running the breakouts. And so next is the check-ins, which Dean is going to do.
I would like you to do a round of short check-ins, take up to 30 seconds to share any questions, comments from the last sessions, or how was your empathy buddy call, or any short reports from facilitating an empathy circle during this week. I'll call upon people to speed the process up, if that's all right. So I'd like to, first of all, ask Shima, if you could check in, please.
My buddy call with Malin went great. We really enjoyed being listened to, and I feel like we became closer. And I did an empathy circle with my family, and it was good. It was really different for us. And I have two children, ages 11 and 14, and they both got really bored during the empathy circle. So that was kind of a challenge. They were like, can we leave now? And I was like, no, we have to do it for like 1 hour. So that was the only challenge, but they did surprisingly well. And I think maybe one reason they did well is because I was the first active listener. So maybe they maybe learned a little bit from me, but they did really well with the active listening.
Thank you. Erin.
Oh, that's great, Shima. I was thinking about I did one with my 13-year-old son and, my partner, his dad. And it's very interesting because he was actually pretty good at reflecting, I felt. And it came up in a time where we needed it. So it was not just, just a practice for that reason. But the thing was, he was really good at reflecting, but at some point he was like, no, do not say what I say. I don't want to hear what I say again. So that was interesting. He didn't want to be reflected by the end of it. And then, that was very cool. I think it was helpful in the moment, actually, worked very well. And then the call that I had with my buddy Ben was great. I learned a lot, finding like my limitations and areas that I want to grow and being able to listen more deeply. And just, it was great to be heard and buddy up. So it was wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you, Erin. Rasha.
Me?
Yes.
All right. First of all, I couldn't make it for the last session. There was an electricity power cut over here due to rains. So I'm based out of India. And the exposure that I got to empathy circles is probably through the video that I watched of the last time session. So it felt good. I actually am a trainee with this group called Empathic Intervision. So in empathic intervision, we have different stages, and one of them is reflective empathy, which is very similar to what we are doing over here in empathy circles. So that's, again, another way I've been exposed to the empathy circles. I've also been on a call with Edwin where he explained it to me. So it's great to be here. It's great to see all of you, and I look forward to this session to learn more. Yeah.
Thank you, Rach.
Thank you.
Thank you. So last, I couldn't make a buddy call because I had time management problems this week. However, I managed to facilitate an empathy circle with friends of mine, and it was a wonderful experience. We've actually couldn't see each other for a long time because of the pandemics. We all moved to our homes, and we were struggling to find some activities that could gather up together again. And it was really nice experience. I was afraid no one will show up, but there were 6 of us, and at the end, 2 of them asked me more about the idea behind empathy circles and wanted to get the link to the training itself. So I was very grateful for it, and it was a very good experience. So yeah.
Thank you, Rachel.
Hello. Yeah, I'll speak to the empathy circle that I was able to facilitate. Great experience, first time in the safety of 3 really good friends of mine. And I think I might have recruited a few as well to explore further trainings. We all agreed that we were loving how generative the discussion was. We were able to go deep on a number of just personal issues that we've been working through and learning from over the past year. And yeah, really kind of some strong themes and insights gleaned from each other and able to empathize. And it's just really incredibly powerful and healing. And yeah, looking forward to doing this again with other groups of people and perhaps the same group.
Thank you. Sita. Just as you're taking a cup of tea, I do apologize.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, it's nice to see everybody and hear your stories, and really fun to hear about how well kids are taking to it. Dean, you and I have tried to get together and it hasn't worked. And so I wound up doing just an empathy buddy with a friend of mine. And so that was a good experience. I mainly reflected back with her, and I had, when I put the word out for doing empathy circles, I had several people respond being interested, but either people were interested and they weren't able to make the times that I had suggested, or they signed up for different times but couldn't make the times together. So I'm one of the questions I have, for at some point, hopefully today, is to know if we have trouble getting getting people together to do an empathy circle, if we can just maybe do it with some of the people in this cohort. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Sita. Malin.
I had a buddy call with Shima, and it felt really good and get to know each other. I've had some curiosity throughout these past empathy circles, like getting to know everybody. And then I facilitated a circle with some of my activist friends. And to be honest, like I would say that all my friends are activists. Like it's not ideal, but it's sort of like I don't have all the time in the world. So that's how my life has become. And they were surprisingly good. They didn't need a lot of instructions, and they were really good at listening. And I think all of them sort of ended up understanding that we talk a lot. So we need to give information in pieces because we tend to overwhelm each other. And then I had one friend in the circle who almost started crying because we talked about she's going through a hard time. And actually I want to know like what to do then. So we just took like a break where we just sat in silence for a couple of minutes because it was like a bit, it got really intense for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Malin. Graham.
Thank you, Dean. I'm actually in a very good place, and Yes, I look forward to today's session. I had an empathy session with Celine, and I enjoyed it. I felt that we connected. And not only did I enjoy it, but it was very beneficial, good experience. Some people have been talking about having actively set up an empathy circle. And I'm not that far. I've got self-confidence issues, self-worth issues. So I'm working on it and feel that I should not be rushed. But at the same time, I have one regular weekly empathy buddy, and we talk for 2 hours, and that's very, very productive. And I have one that is an empathy buddy for once a month, but that is also amazingly connective. So anyway, I look forward to today's experience. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Graham. Natal?
Thank you. Well, I'm so happy to be here. I missed the first session of the cohort, so it's good to see you guys. I saw the recording on Zoom, and happy to continue this path with you. I had a session last week, and it was very good. I really enjoyed the dynamics, and I'm eager to learn more on how to facilitate this circle.
Thank you. Sunita.
Okay, good evening and thank you very much. I couldn't have a buddy call, but I did do a circle, and that was healing. I did the empathy circle with a few of my friends, and the process and how we really miss out. That's what I think that was a learning experience for them. And the connection, the deep connection, and just the fact that you have someone listening to you, that was very powerful. So I look forward to today's session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sunita. Ben.
Thanks, Dean. I've had a good week. I'm feeling pretty tired. I've been speaking a lot today on the telephone and on Zoom, so I'm noticing my attention drift a little and becoming distracted by nothing very much in particular. As Erin said, connected with Erin and for an empathy call a couple of days ago. That was the only thing I've been carrying forward in terms of the empathy cycle stuff, actually, but still have something kind of forming around that, but nothing else to report. Yeah, glad to be here. Good to see you again and looking forward to the evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Anne?
Thanks, Dean. I was jointly running an empathy cafe this week, and we set an intention really that this year we were looking to do a deeper connection, or help to think about how we could enable people to connect a bit more deeply within the circle. And it was quite interesting that it just happened in the first circle, and that was good. And we had 2 new people there. And one of the things that was really good was that someone that I've been working with in Extinction Rebellion just recently, who I don't know well, decided to come to it. I posted it in a chat that she's in with me, and it was her first, and she had a very positive experience. So that was good, and I look forward to that connection growing, that connection, and getting her into doing empathy circle work.
Thank you,
and back to you, Dean.
Bill.
Hi. So I'll respond a little bit. One, if you can't get to or create an empathy circle, it's good. We're starting on Fridays at this same time, Pacific time. We do have an empathy cafe that goes on, and that's a good place to come. And if you want to practice facilitating and kind of work out in a way, so that's always available for you. And the emotional, Malin, I think, talked about the emotional fragility, and that does take some care. I don't have a one-size-fits-all answer for that, but certainly taking care and allowing people to process is generally a good thing to do. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Lou?
I'm really happy to be here and very excited hearing all of these, all of what you had to say about the circles that you held and what went on with them. So I really appreciate your efforts in actually conducting circles. I want to add to what Bill said about when something very emotional happens in a circle. So I think continuing to offer empathy, meaning reflecting back what you're hearing, or offering it silently. So empathy can be offered silently, which means whatever you're noticing and thinking, you hold it inside. You stay conscious of it, but you hold it inside. And it sounds like, that's what you did instinctively, was just give some silence to the person. And then the other thing to be aware of is that others in the circle may have feelings about what they're hearing. And so, if they want to talk about that when that's their turn, they're certainly welcome to do that. So it may start a cascade of people talking about things, but, having people feel strong emotions and let those out, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful thing to have happen. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And to just be present with it and receive it, be witness to it, is the thing to do. And the other thing to notice is your own instinct or desire to stop it. So most of us have, learned that you're not supposed to display emotion publicly, and that you should, that stopping the emotion means stopping the hurt that the person is experiencing, and that it's actually the opposite. Letting them feel the feelings is the way to get through the hurt. So so that instinct to try to stop it, the thing to do is to breathe through it. Just keep breathing, and then note that that's something for you to work on. That's an area of growth for you if you can't stay present when there's strong emotion happening. That was more than I intended to say. so sorry, that was a lot, but I think it's important because those things do happen, and actually it's a really critical moment, and most people's instinct is to try to stop it in some way. That's, we're kind of trained. It's unfortunate, but we get trained to do that, to try to stop it. Okay, I'll stop.
Thank you, Lou. Edwin.
Yeah.
I've been working on the Friday introductory to the training, sort of setting that up, and we've just set up another training for starting in February. So just been setting that up. And for this Saturday, we're doing, I'm just putting the link in there. There's been setting up with the filmmaker. There was a documentary film made about our empathy tent group that Lou and Bill and others have done here, where we sort of mediated between the political left and right. And we're going to have a showing of that, and then an empathy cafe on Saturday. So you're all welcome to come to that. And if we need facilitators, you can kind of help facilitate, sort of do some practice there too. So, and just click on the link. You should see it there on Facebook. So that's it for me, Dean.
So I'm just happy to see everyone back again. I'm really looking forward to what we're going to get through to today. And I apologize to Sita for not being able to have the time. Hopefully we should be able to find the time next week sometime. And thank you for all attending today. I'm in a very good place. I'm very happy. Sorry?
Celine. Before you go, don't forget Celine hasn't spoken.
Hasn't you? I do apologize, Celine. Please, your turn.
Okay, thanks, Dean. So I was able to meet with my empathy buddy, Graham, and that was a good experience, nice connection, and good practice. I have led an empathy circle with friends who really enjoyed it and really saw the value in doing this kind of work. So that was encouraging. But just before we started, I had a dramatic and challenging event emotionally. And so that was a challenge to try to stay focused and remember what I was doing because of that emotional upset. So that was good practice also. And I've done a small one with one of my sons and some other people, and he did just what I wanted to warn about, to tell him not to do, was to look at his phone. And my guess is it wasn't just looking at his phone, he was probably doing the next thing in his video game. I don't know. But he was present enough, I would say maybe 80% present. So that's a question I have had. I guess it's not a challenge when you're doing it in person, but in Zoom, don't know what else people are doing and how that affects their participation. I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much. I'm complete.
Thank you, Celine. I'll hand over to Bill now.
Okay. Well, today what we will be doing is we will be practicing the how-to circle presentation in the breakout rooms. And then after that, we will have some chance to facilitate a small breakout room. You know, we'll give you some practice. You should each have hopefully about 5 minutes each to do a how-to, get some feedback, and then 20 minutes to do a circle with 3-minute turns, I think about, and then get some feedback there. And so that's what we'll be doing. Again, for me, and if there's some performance anxiety coming up, don't worry about it. Again, personally, and I think I can speak for the rest of the trainers, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for an attitude that is welcoming and warm, and that is aware when there's a communication, miscommunication, just, fixing it, and very simply, and moving on. So hopefully we'll enjoy those. Anything else that the trainers would like to say? Okay, Edwin, are we ready?
I think you have an hour and a half for this, for the breakout
Yeah.
rooms. And I thought I would just put in the topic. You have
I did, that's right.
You can just so you have it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the topic is, what are your thoughts and concerns about being an Empathy Circle facilitator, or as in every Empathy Circle, whatever is foremost in your mind? And that's the topic today, and it's in the chat as well. Okay.
Okay, you ready to go into the?
I am ready.
I believe.
Okay, and Shima has to leave and come back during it.
Okay, so then I'll stay in the main room for a while. So Lou, there's only 4 people in your group, so just want to give you that heads up. So,
okay.
Here we go. Okay. Room 1. Where the heck is him? Oh, you're kind of how you kind of got join room. No, kind of admit. I'm not hearing you. It's kind of acting.
Could you put me back in the room? I can't remember what number room it was.
3. I got, and
okay.
then Shema do 3 as well. So Are you seeing it come up? Is it
No,
giving
not
you a
yet.
choice?
Oh, join breakout room. Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay.
And it's room 3.
It's room 3, and you're there with Shema too. So.
The trick is, so okay, we're recording now. So we just did a little explanation. The trick is that one of the things that I say is, like, for instance, as the facilitator, that if I correct you, it's not a criticism of you or your ideas, but it's rather to keep us in the practice. And so, so you start to depersonalize it. This is not me trying to get control over you, but me trying to give you this sort of experience. There's something else I forgot. It'll maybe come up later. I'll get to a question. And then the other thing I'll do is that I'll kind of call a timeout. This is very geocentric for America, so I apologize for that. But I'll call a timeout if we need to stop and you have questions, or I want to explain something. So Celine, I saw you had a question. Yes.
Yes, thank you. When you say you ask questions, I don't understand that. Is that in the introduction? I don't know where you ask questions.
Oh, no, I'm not asking questions. Maybe I wasn't, quite clear. The only thing that I was mentioning, and I kind of was a little bit disrupted, but when the trickiest part of the whole thing is the reflective listener, the active listener. That's the trickiest part. That's where we have, people will ask questions or, give advice or sympathize and things like that. And it's no reflection on how intelligent people, actually, the more intelligent people tend to get in there and start to make, and that's fine, but that's not the practice. So one of the things is that, and especially if you're, have a high esteem, and you start to correct people, they might take it personally. So I just do like a disclaimer. It's not a criticism of you or your ideas or anything like that. I just want you to experience this experience, because at the bottom, there's something going on that is more than just what we're talking about, more than just cognitive processing. There's an emotional process going on, and that's what this practice helps to do. So I hope that answered your question, Celine.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll get going. You have about 5 minutes. It's good to
Hi, Edwin, can you hear me?
I hear you having a little. Let me.
Yeah,
try to get
I'm so
you.
sorry. Yeah, I'm on my cell phone now because my
Oh,
computer
okay.
was having issues.
Let me see if I can
So
move you to the
yeah.
to the breakout room. Breakout rooms,
Okay.
and so you were in breakout room 3. So let me move you there.
Okay, thank you.
Oops, almost hit the wrong button. Okay.
The next speaker, and we'll invite someone to actively listen.
Okay. And are you done, or are you
done?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I really like you basically got it. If there are any problems, people are going to I feel really empowered to ask you a question and do that. And then, but I didn't, the trick is to talk about, and maybe I missed something, but the receptive, the active listener without having questions, and that's the thing that's the rough spot that people generally get. So I would have, really make sure you hit that mark.
That's a great suggestion. I also really like your suggestion, Bill, of saying that if I, as a facilitator, if I'm going to interrupt for any reason, it's not a control or criticism of you, it's simply to maintain the process.
Yeah.
Because when I did one, that actually happened pretty early, and it was kind of this awkward. So I love you stating that. I love clarifying the role of the listener. I will strive to do that next time.
Oh, sure. Okay. All right. Celine and Dawid, any, or try Dawid or Boris, or what should I call it?
It can be David or Boris.
David. Okay.
David,
Right.
yeah.
All right. Sorry. Okay, great. David. So any feedback for Rachel?
Well, I would say that, well, for me as a person who have participated in circles, it was good and self-explanatory. But I think for people who are starting, it needs to be like more back to basics, like a little more thorough about the roles, the specific roles.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I enjoyed the affect, very kind of up and welcoming, and so I made me look forward to the circle.
Okay.
Thank you.
Edwin?
Maybe I just apologize for being in and out. I'm sort of managing these other people, and they're dropping out, and then I have to leave to kind of invite them in. So I'm just sort of an observer here. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But feel free to, chime in if you need.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. All right. Celine, David, who would like to go next?
I'll go.
All right. Thank you, Celine.
Okay. So, welcome to this Empathy Circle. This is what you're participating in is creating a culture of empathy internationally for everyone. And it's very simple. There are just a few roles. There is the facilitator, and I will be taking that role in this circle. Also, the speaker, everybody will get a chance to speak and say whatever they want during their 3 or 5 minute turn. And they will have a listener who will be attentive to them so they can reflect back what the speaker said. The object is for the speaker to feel fully heard. So the listener will not ask questions or give advice or talk about something that's going on in their lives. They're just totally focused on the listener. And we'll go around the circle. Everybody, like I said, will have a chance to speak and to listen. And that's the basic introduction to what we're going to be doing.
Great.
Period.
Okay. Rachel, David, feedback?
Yeah, I thought you did a much better job than I. So kudos on that. Very thorough, Celine. I knew what to expect. I knew what I was a part of. Yeah, and then I did get the sense that I would learn more as the process went on. So you kind of said that's all for now. And then, yeah, maybe because I've done one before, I kind of knew that there'd be more coming.
I really liked it. I felt it was really welcome, and it felt pretty straightforward and clear, everything that was about to happen. So I think that was really good introduction.
Okay. Great. Yeah, no, I liked it. I thought you hit the bases. And so remember, when you go through it that first time and then you get into the questions and then you get into the role model, when you get into the breakout rooms, that is feedback for you, So one of the processes that I'm doing at the same time, and this is as you get more comfortable, this process, is I'm kind of reading the room as well as projecting and sort of leading the exercise. Does so-and-so seem to get it? If not, what are they missing, and things like that. And that's, as you get experience, that process will become more comfortable for you. Okay. Yeah, Edward.
I'll just add one thing is before the circle, I try to also send participants, if I know who they are, the instructions of how to take part. So they already have like a PDF or a video that they've already seen. And then when they come and say, oh, hopefully you had a chance to have already seen it. And here's, I'll just reiterate, or so I try to do some of the prep beforehand, prepare them. So, and then also have a PDF that I send out. And so it's just kind of building a stronger container, but not always do people have people seen it or, yeah.
Right.
That's great.
Okay. David?
Okay. So welcome everyone. Thank you for coming and offering your time to spend these hours with us, with ourselves. We were going to participate in an empathy circle, which is a structured process, a structured form of dialogue, where everyone, which goal is so that everyone feels listened and heard, and also to develop our empathy skills, because empathy is a muscle that needs to be trained. We will start at each given time. There will be one person that is speaking. The speaking person will choose an active listener who will be actively reflecting what the speaker person has been said. So after we bring up some idea, few sentences maybe, then the active listener will reflect back what he said. And the important part is that the listener does not judge, does not ask questions, does not offer any advice. He only repeats what he heard said from what he heard that the speaker has said. And then after that, the speaker can add up more if the listener didn't respond to everything. And this process of talking back and forth repeats for a few minutes. And then after this, the speaker gets a turn at, the listener gets the turn at speaking. So he chooses another listener, and so the circle goes. I think that's all for now, and yeah, that's it.
Right. Good. Okay.
Thank
feedback.
you.
Sure. Celine? Feedback?
I enjoyed you saying it was a structured dialogue process, and I enjoyed, I felt comfortable and easy that you were going to help me understand everything that I needed to understand. So there was a pleasant sense of comfort from the information you gave. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo those comments as well. And did I hear in the beginning that you actually said the time frame? So you said we're going to be together for the next hour or so. I think
I said hours. Like I started a sentence, so I had to end it some way, and I didn't find any other word at the time.
Oh, okay. Because I actually quite like that, and I didn't do that in mine. But I personally benefit from if I know how long we're going to be there for. So if it's an hour and a half or 2 hours, I thought that you said, so good on you. That's what I understood.
That's an interesting accident.
Yeah. Just because I think as facilitators, our first kind of role is the housekeeping or logistics, and like even Edwin referenced, did everyone get a chance to see the video that I sent out in advance? Like it just sort of helps everyone feel safe and trusting and know what to expect. So I really like those touches if they can be added in up front.
Sure. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Really kind of hit the, again, the bases efficiently. And the only thing that I would suggest is just to, at the end, ask if there are any questions.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Just to, that gets that second time, and again,
Mhm.
it gives you feedback leading into it. But it was fine. If you didn't, I would ask it in the breakout room, and it would be fine. And so one of the things is good. Yeah, you talked about the time. It's not necessary, but just other things to make people aware of is like the time limit. We'll be talking for 5 minutes.
Oh.
And then the other thing is this is like sort of like at your discretion. It's not, one of the things that is new for people is people staying with this process for a period of time. Yet, as you experience yourself, and it takes about 3 or 4 rounds, and then everybody gets comfortable and they really drop in. And so if you give people, it feels a little comfortable, but just kind of stick with it. So that's another tip that you can, just let people know about, depending upon how you read the room. Sometimes you want to just dive into it. Sometimes, you feel that that might be helpful. And the other thing that, we can also say for the speaker is that sometimes make them aware that the speaker can pause after a period of time. One of the things that'll go on is that a speaker will go on and then the person who's listening can't hold it, including me, can't hold everything like for 2 minutes. Can you, remember everything? And so it is okay for the active listener to ask for a pause, or if you're a facilitator, to say, oh, could you pause for a moment to give a so-and-so a chance for reflection? So those are just some extra tips. Nothing wrong with what you did. That was just fine. And then that would get worked out. Edwin, anything?
Yeah, that was it. Just exactly what you were saying about just that you can ask people to pause, so that was one thing that was on my mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And without getting too much into the weeds, the more you prepare people for that, the more it takes it away from a power struggle of some sort, which is really, as we talk about the challenges, that's one of the things, is to take it out of the power struggle. And my general advice around that is that it's not me, it's the process. This is the process we're trying to do. It's, it's not God, it's not perfect. It may not be for you, nobody's, making you attend, but we would really, we appreciate, we value your presence, and we'd love to hear what you say. And, that's sort of the general theme I try to hit. Okay. Any other questions about the how-to or anything else like that? Strengths, weaknesses, any other discussion there?
Something that was on my mind, why
Yeah.
I went quickly through it, was just the attention span. So it does take quite a lot of time to kind of explain in full. And I really liked what's been said by some of the facilitators, that the process is going to work itself out in the first 3 to 4 rounds. And, by modeling, we learn a lot. So it's on my mind to strike that balance of speaking too much, that you're losing attention.
Right.
And not saying enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's excellent. And that's exactly the question you should be asking yourself. What I find, like, for instance, when people are speaking and we talk about time limits, and then we'll have a chance with that, is that I'm trying to balance. It's like, 5 minutes, I cut you off, whatever. I get, real empathy circle Nazi about it. Or or if you let somebody go on, then it's all about them, and then people fall apart. So what I'm looking for is a balance between making sure everybody has a chance to feel heard, and then giving people some air to breathe so that they can really feel fully heard. Sometimes it's another 30 seconds or something like that you give people. And that's the art of facilitation, is balancing these forces.
Actually, that's something that I don't think any one of us addressed, that we're going to be keeping time. I'm not sure if Celine might have said it, but as a facilitator, I think that's an important note too. So that, and because I actually didn't set that up in advance, and then my timer made a sound, so it had happened anyway. But I know some people wave, some people will, have a little bell, whatever, to tell them that it's time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a phone that it comes off a little piano riff,
Mhm.
And so what I do with that,
Edwin has 10 signs.
Edwin goes for like the bold. Okay. So what I do with that is, is that when the time is up, I let that go off. And generally, if people are, they hear it, then they generally, finish off. But sometimes they don't, they're really into it, and that's fine. And I try to then make it ring maybe once, and then I turn it off maybe twice if I'm not quick enough. And then I let them finish. And then when the reflector comes on, I give them this. This is my handcrafted, very expensive sign there. And there's something that I discovered is that this doesn't interrupt the flow as much as saying, oh, the time is up. And so you can kind of get through there. And that's another thing that I'm balancing, which is there's a certain flow to a circle. And when it's running well, that flow goes well. And so those are the two things that I'm balancing. Giving people an ample time to feel heard while making sure that everybody can feel heard, hence the time limit. Okay. All right. Yeah,
wait,
Celine.
I
Sure.
have a small question, a technical thing. So in these practice circles, so say somebody is the facilitator, so that person is the first listener, right?
You can do that. I know this has been ascribed to me. You certainly can do that if you wish, but it's not a hard and fast rule. I know it feels very practical, intuitive if people are unfamiliar with the practice. It's a way that so it certainly can be an excellent thing, but it's not a have to.
Okay. So, but if that is, so say I'm the facilitator, I'm the first listener, somebody is the first speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Then next, I choose a speaker. I mean, that's the place where I get confused.
So then you choose a listener to listen to you.
Right. And that person then choose. Okay. All right.
Right. Yes. So it goes around. So yes, we are facilitators, but and correct me if I'm wrong, Edwin, but Edwin, this is supposed to be egalitarian. So we're not, so essentially we're facilitators, but we're also participants. We're also putting ourselves out there and really being a participant. Edwin, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
I often, especially if people are new to the practice, I say I'll be the first listener so I can model it. And then, because if two people who haven't done it before are sort of choosing each other, there's more chance of them, not kind of reflecting. And if I model it, it just helps a little bit to build a stronger container. So,
yeah. So, read the room.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's certainly a fine technique. Okay. So the topic is going to be the strengths or challenges to facilitations, concerns. We'll go 3-minute turns. As facilitator, you'll keep the 3-minute turns. You'll keep time, and you'll do the transition. I will keep, I think everyone should have, let's see, we're at 10, yeah, we're good, for 20 minutes. So we'll do that, each one of you, Celine, Rachel, and David, will have 20 minutes to be the facilitator. So what the facilitators will do is to keep the time, the other things doing. We've already explained the empathy circle. There's no reason to go over that again. And before we get into it, does anybody need a bio break or just a stretch or anything like that before? No, we're good? All right.
Not
All right. All right. I like that. All right.
I have bladder of steel.
Bladder of steel. Okay. We didn't mention that's a prerequisite for being a facilitator. So, okay. So who would like to start their facilitation first? Or are there any questions about that before you're ready to go?
So we're not repeating the intro. We're
No.
just going into it, keeping time. Okay.
Right.
I'm happy to volunteer again. Do
Great.
it first.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Rachel. Okay. All this is going on your permanent record.
Oh, good. keener.
Yeah.
So I will keep time and my alarm will go off then at the
Okay.
3-minute mark.
And introduce the topic.
Yes, the question that we may address is, what are your thoughts and concerns about being an empathy circle facilitator? Of course, you can also discuss whatever is alive for you.
Great. Okay.
And are we going for 5 minutes or 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes here.
Okay.
So we have chance to practice the transfer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am happy to model listening
Okay.
as facilitator. Would somebody please volunteer to speak?
Okay. I'll speak.
Great.
Okay. So, you know, in my process, one of the things I've learned to do is to trust the process. So I do have concerns and things like that that can come up. Especially for me, it's speaking too much. I try to really look at, you know, how much I'm speaking and make sure that I keep the focus. So that's a concern that I do have, but the structure really, you know, helps me self-correct. So I appreciate that. I'll stop there.
Yeah, so Bill, I'm hearing that in your experience, you have concerns still about speaking too much, but you have learned to trust the process of the empathy circle dialogue. Yeah, it kind of corrects that along the way of the over speaking.
Yeah, and what I'm looking for also is not to tell people what an empathy circle is in a sense, but the vision that I particularly use, and I don't think that this is the only way, but I imagine a really nice spring day, a glen, there's a nice cool breeze, and we're all coming there to come and to talk and to listen. So I see an area, and I know how that makes me feel. It makes me feel relaxed. It makes me feel open. And so if I see that in the other participants, then I know I've sort of figuratively brought them there, and I'll stop there.
So it's almost like you have a sense of when there is that peaceful, calm, flowing process, is that an image comes to your mind of a real peaceful scenery where you're near a glen and there's a nice breeze, and that's the sense you get when that process is rolling along.
Right. And I don't, you know, look for other people to feel that they're in a glen, but if they're feeling relaxed and they're, you know, and I have the sense of ease, then I know I'm sort of, we're in the place that we need to be. And so for me, the idea of a place rather than a scripted, you know, have to action is much more relevant, because there's a certain amount of freedom in a place. Like you could lie down, you could maybe sniff a flower, you know, and still participate. I'll stop there.
Yeah, so it's not that you're desiring to force anyone to enter into like your process, but you'd rather kind of invite them to experience that peace and flow in their own way, it sounds like.
Thank
and you're
you,
mindful, of the process.
Thank you,
Cool.
Rachel. I feel fully heard.
All right, that's exactly time. Good for us. Celine, will you kindly listen to me?
Yes, happy to.
Okay, well, something that's coming up for me in this facilitator process is, balancing being an active participant and also an active listener and space holder. I'm finding it challenging to be both.
So one of the things that is showing up for you is how to balance being an active participant in terms of being the speaker and also being kind of the holder of the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaker and listener even. So, and holder of the process. Yeah. All of it. No, you got it. Exactly. I'm a teacher by day. So I'm used to being at the front of the room, kind of the old school lecturer. I do a lot of small group facilitation and dialogue and discussion, but it's typically me who's just holding the process and not having to respond. Like I'm posing the questions rather than speaking and answering them, right?
So as a teacher, you're accustomed to being the one who's kind of running the show, being at the front of the room and deciding the topics and so on. So this process where you shift from one role to another, from the active speaker to the listener, is new.
Mm-hmm. And just, I'll admit right away that I actually forgot to start my timer. So here's a real-time example of how it's showing up. I was so engaged in my transition between, okay, now I have to, invite a listener and think about how I'm going to answer the question. And then also I just forgot to keep time. So
as an example of this shift or this other new way of doing it, you forgot to set up the time, because you're kind of juggling different roles as the facilitating the circle. And here's a new one.
So I think it was Graham who mentioned this idea of self-worth. And that word, two words combined, has been really circulating around me the past while. But this idea of self-worth, and that when I am bumbling around and kind of newly learning, just as a small child learns to walk, I'm tumbling, I'm fumbling. I'm going to be making mistakes along the way. And so I need to be, giving myself that compassion, and I'm worthy of, making a few mistakes and then picking myself up, and worthy of the love along the way. So I'm just grateful for this training process to further that journey for me.
So another element in this learning process that you're noticing is the issue of self-worth. And because it's new and you might be stumbling at moments because you don't do it perfectly, it means that you're also monitoring the kind of emotional issue of self-worth as you make mistakes.
And so that was time for me. I don't know if you heard my alarm. I did end up putting it on halfway through. So also, is this coming up the right way for folks?
Yeah.
Okay, because for me it's not. I guess I'm seeing a mirror image of
Right.
Okay.
But we see it the right way.
Great. Thank you, Selena. I feel fully heard.
Okay, thank you. So now I am the speaker, and I am going to ask David Boris to be my listener. Are you willing to listen to me?
Of course, I will do my best.
Thank you. So I have probably equal amounts of enthusiasm and concern as I train to be an Empathy Circle Facilitator.
I hear you saying that you have a lot of enthusiasm. You're looking forward to this process, but also there are some concerns that are stopping you.
And really, I think it's just a matter of practice in order to be able to do it smoothly.
Yeah, but you think you believe that it's a matter of process, that you just have to trust the process and it all that will turn out smoothly?
Yeah, actually I said practice
Okay.
rather than process.
Yeah. So you meant to trust the practice, and as it goes on, it polishes.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. So I think what makes it difficult is my expectation that if I don't do it perfectly, I've done it all wrong.
There seems to be some perfectionism speaking, that you have the feeling that it has to be perfect, or otherwise it's not good at all.
Yes. And also that I really want the people in the circle to have a valuable experience. And so I know that once I trust the process and trust my capacity, that is just not going to be an issue, because the process in and of itself is valuable. I don't know if I made sense.
Yeah, so I hear you. You share a lot of concern about other people, about how will other people feel connecting during the process of Empathy Circle, but you have a feeling that this trusting the process, this feels just fades out eventually. That the process itself is valuable.
Yes. So it gives me a chance to look at myself and some habits that I have in terms of performance.
And you feel that it's giving you some kind of reflection on yourself, your actions, and how you feel about this process of facilitating. I'm not sure if I got it get it right.
Thank you. You did. I just kind of generalized to, how I function in the world.
Okay.
Thank you. So I feel fully heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Celine.
I'm going to take a little bit of a time out just to kind of make transparent. So there was that miscommunication between practice and process there. And as a facilitator, I'm thinking, okay, is this important? Because I'm balancing two things, feeling fully heard for Celine, but also the flow. So generally I note it, and then you guys self-corrected, and then I let it go. This is what I do, and you may do something different, and that'd be fine too. But in other words, I let it go, and then Celine, self-corrected and stuff. What I would have done if she hadn't is I would have said, okay, it was an important word, and I might have let it go on to see if there were any more miscommunications or not, or if Celine felt heard or not. And then one of the things that I didn't talk about is also the, what was it? I'm blanking on it now. So I'll just kind of let the process go on. I'll come back to it. But one of the ways that I kind of preload things is I say, when you hear the bell, finish up. It's not a hard close. It's not like a cutoff. And so saying that, and that was a mistake that I made, I would, say that maybe in the intro or something like that, so people know, because otherwise then they say, oh, stop time, and then the flow is interrupted. So that's it. Sorry, David, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Is Edwin an active participator?
I would be, but somebody just dropped. I'm keeping track. Somebody just dropped out, so I have to go.
Okay.
Back in. So,
yeah.
Okay, not a problem. So Rachel, will you listen to me?
Yeah, Bill, are you also participating? Just
I'm
clarify.
participating if you want to use, yes.
Okay, I'm happy to listen, David, but okay, I'm happy to.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So there's been a lot of information.
Hi, Edwin. I'm sorry. I don't know why my internet's not working well, but let's try again.
Okay, we'll try to bring you in, sign to room 3. So hopefully that works. I'm kind of keeping track. I see when you drop out.
State of my mental health. So I'm not really good of an organizer, and I get some anxiety issues concerning organizing some bigger events. So this week, like just setting up the Facebook event this week, it was very hard of a process for me. It took me a lot of energy to organize the circle this week.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that event organization is something that can cause or bring about some anxiety in you, and that is a concern that you have in going forward with facilitating.
Yeah, and just there are so many thoughts about how do I make sure that everyone can participate, but how can I just not. Also, I'm afraid to be too persuasive in wanting to invite people, and it's just kind of hard for me to balance, I guess, and it's a thing to be learned, but and ultimately, I think the experience repays itself. So after I finished the circle, I really felt fulfilled, and I just felt content for what I have done.
So although you do experience that anxiety and the concern is real, there is also this payoff that you can look forward to. So it's like you said, a balance of at the end of the circle process, you feel that reward.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I feel fully listened.
Okay, right on time. Thank you. Bill, will you listen to me?
Happily, sure.
Yeah, so I am resonating with what David and Celine are both saying, and picking up on what I actually mentioned too, with this idea of self-worth, confidence, and perfectionism. For me, that kind of all goes hand in hand, and it causes anxiety. For me, it stems from fear.
So you're reflecting on your emotions around the circle, around implementing the circle, and there are, concerns. You have expectations about, being perfect and doing a good job and things like that, and that also is essentially linked into your essential underlying feelings of self-worth and wanting to do, everything right, and then trusting the process. I missed something. So what at the end, I'm
just the end point that I said, I think it all stems from fear.
Oh, right. That's what I meant. And that was very important. Yeah. And that comes from fear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's a big concept, that self-worth. I think that it's a lifelong healing and learning process. Like for me, that it is going to be my life's work, I anticipate, because it kind of has been to date. So I see that as continuing on, and this training is punctuating that journey.
So you're really feeling that this idea of self-worth is a lifelong exploration for you, and that this training focuses that and allows you to see it and kind of punctuates it. It highlights it in a way so you can look at it.
I forgot to start the timer again. Is anyone else also keeping time?
Well, I'm keeping time. You have about the 20 minutes, and so I keep a rough time.
Okay. Well, I put it at 1 minute because I think I've spoken.
Okay.
See, so maybe 5 years ago, even, I might have really beat down on myself internally for making that kind of mistake. I would have said like, well, then if you can't even do something simple as keeping time, you know, it's probably the most simple part of this process, then who are you to start, you know, facilitating circles? And it's going to be all a mess if you go out there and do this. And that's the kind of internal dialogue that I would have had maybe 5 years ago.
So you're reflecting, that's your 20 minutes. And so you're reflecting on your feelings of self-worth or lack of self-worth. And then you're also noting a certain amount, a sense of growth, because 5 years ago, you would have been very hypercritical. And now you find yourself much more self-accepting.
Yes, and thank you for picking up on that. I want to say I am proud of the work, and I know there's a long way to go, but there's a certain amount of work that I've done so that I don't beat myself down for those things.
Good.
Thank you for the love and support of this group.
Sure. Okay. Rachel, any questions? What came up for you?
Yeah, I mean, no, I said it throughout my time speaking. That's just, those are the issues I'm going to probably be working through through this. And honestly, it excites me more than it does kind of set me back. I'm looking, I seek out opportunities to do this work.
Great. Yeah. So I've been guilty of not setting the timer many times. And it's, you know, and there are good reasons that, you know, I'm into it, you know, oh, what's happening? Oh, wait a minute. So sometimes I'll figure, okay, about a minute has gone by, I'll try to do that. Or, you know, I'll kind of sense organically when people have felt heard or things like that.
All right, just someone dropped out of another circle, and I was just moving into the main room here to see if they pop in, and so far they're not. So I'm sitting here by myself, kind of waiting as the sort of managing the technical stuff here. They're not showing up. So that was Suma. Ah, there she is. Admitting. Hey, oh, Shema.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Yeah, you're having a little issues there, huh? So
I'm having a lot of issues. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I think my videos, okay. Okay, thank you for your patience.
Yeah, that's fine. It just happens, don't worry.
And then people can, you know, make decisions, and then it's good to talk to different people back and forth as much. The time and the math doesn't always work, or somebody has, you know, really focuses on a person. And so as a facilitator, I kind of let that go. I kind of look at that as a general measure, you know, of people feel heard and everybody's getting time. But then if it's not perfect, I kind of let it go unless it becomes a real issue, where one person hasn't talked for 20 minutes or something like that. So that's it. Sorry. Okay. And actually, I was started to speak. I should have just started speaking and doing that. So I'll take 2 minutes. Did you, you weren't prepared, I guess. Oh, I'm speaking to Celine. Celine, did you catch any of that?
What I got was that the time, who listens to whom in what order, can be organic and doesn't have to follow a rigid format.
Great. Yeah, just as long as everybody feels heard and everybody has a chance to be heard. Okay. And I'm trying to think of things I feel uncomfortable about. I guess, we'll be talking about challenges. So I do feel uncomfortable mostly when people just if they seem to be withdrawing. It's not a usual thing to do. I haven't encountered it so much, but sometimes you feel a person contract and you kind of then, I run a script. How can I include them? I'll stop there.
So something that's been difficult or uncomfortable in circles sometimes is if you sense that somebody has withdrawn, and then you're asking yourself, how can you bring them back out and into the circle, and should you, or it just engages your concern for that person,
right,
participation, what's going on for them.
And then another instance that actually has happened when if I'm personally attacked, like out of the blue, how do I deal with that? How much I'm not here to be abused, and I refuse. This is a personal. This is not like the culture of empathy speaking. This is my personal feeling, and so I'm not here to be abused. On the other hand, how can I bring the person into the process? Is it possible to bring that person into the process? And then there comes an issue of how do I set limits? I'll stop there.
So another sometimes concern is that if you are being personally attacked, because you're clear that you're not going to be accepting abuse or attack, but also you want to be able to maybe transform the dynamic and bring the person back into the process. So you're dealing with several things at once in those kinds of moments.
Yeah. And okay, I feel so.
The time.
Yeah. I feel heard.
Okay.
Thank you, Celine.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to choose someone to listen to me, right? So
right.
Well, Rachel, will you listen to me?
Yes.
So in terms of concerns, one thing that just happened to me the last time I expressed is I'm listening to myself and realize I'm not making any sense to myself. And I'm expecting somebody to reflect back what nonsense I put out.
Yeah, so I'm hearing a concern for the listener. If you feel you have a moment of when you feel like you're not actually making sense, you're wondering if that person is able to make sense of what you're saying.
And then the other piece that I'm kind of working with is when people say, yes, I feel heard, I feel fully heard, and I think, no, I don't really think so. I don't know what the mechanics are or for that, and I'm tend to be very rigorous about honesty. So there's another place that I'm playing with.
So I'm hearing that you're able to, or you feel like you're sensing when someone says they're being fully heard, but you don't think that they have felt fully heard, that it's almost bumping up against like a value that you have around honesty.
Mhm. Yeah, and this, I haven't experienced a conversation about this, so I don't know. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's sensitive to this. So I don't know, and I have a feeling somebody will tell me what they do with that.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that you say, I don't know, which to me feels like a curiosity, that you're wondering if anyone else experiences this, or, you know, there's mechanics behind what you're experiencing. Yeah, so you're curious to learn more about it.
Yes. And I also haven't experienced real pushback from somebody who I would like to be able to do this work with people who think very differently, which is not hard to find where I live.
So you'd like to conduct empathy circles with people who have very differing viewpoints. Yeah. Does that capture what you said? I should ask.
Yeah, I think so. Well, basically, I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay, so yes, the curiosity to learn more and to kind of become more prepared before you enter those conversations is a concern for you.
Yes. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the time.
That was the time. Okay. Thank you. I
you.
honestly feel fully heard.
Okay, because and I'll roll with that, Celine, because I've had that sense. And I'm gonna select a listener before I go on. Sorry. David, can you please listen to me?
But of course.
Okay. I have also experienced this where a speaker in a circle has said, "Thank you, I feel fully heard." And my sense is that they haven't. And I'm wondering if that's like my sense of attunement, or if it's like judgment getting in the way.
Okay, so you're sharing, you feel like you're sharing Celine's experience of hearing someone say, "I feel fully heard," when you feel that he isn't really fully heard. And you are wondering whether that's being receptive of other people's feelings, or is it a judgment coming in front of you?
Mm-hmm. I will also say that I have been guilty of saying I feel fully heard when perhaps I have not. And for me, that's actually being nice. Like that's my way of just like a nicety of saying, yeah, I feel heard, to please that other person.
So I hear you saying that you yourself has had this moment where you have not been fully heard, but you wanted to be nice and decided that to just say this catchphrase rather than repeat and ask the listener for clarification.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't happen often, but it has happened enough for me to notice that I have done this. And yeah, it just comes back to that performance anxiety that Bill mentioned earlier, where I just feel like, well, this is the process where people are coming to practice listening. So I'm going to be nice and say, yes, like I honor that you've shown up to listen. But maybe it's just not necessarily that I felt fully heard. I have felt somewhat heard.
Okay, so I think what you mean, I think that you said that you feel that other people coming for the empathy circle are willing to learn the process of listening, and you don't want to like displease them, kind of to make them feel bad that they are not good enough. So but you also don't feel that this is like as big of a lie, because you feel somewhat hurt, but just not this fully hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you captured most of it, David. I gave it some big ideas, so I apologize for that, for not pausing. Was that my time?
Yes, that's the time.
Okay.
So you apologized before for giving up some big ideas and assured me that I did reflect everything.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be honest, you reflected most things. And this is a practice of my honoring my own self, putting into practice what we're talking about. You heard most of what I said, and I have a degree of responsibility because I packed in a lot in those 3 minutes. So, so there's some gentleness there I'm extending to us both, and I don't need you to reflect that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you also. So I guess, Bill, will you listen to me?
Sure.
Great. I'll set up a timer and oh wow, I think what was Rachel captured was what I experienced, like just a moment before, was I also wasn't quite sure that I got everything right, and I was actually afraid that I didn't reflect everything. But I just, I don't know, it was some kind of fear maybe, or some kind of, just I wanted to go with the flow and I don't know. I'm kind of just gathering my thoughts still.
Mm-hmm. Do you want a reflection now?
Yeah, maybe
that first part.
Stop.
Okay. So you can think. Okay. So you were talking about, and you were concerned about Rachel's concern about feeling fully heard, and you knew that you kind of missed something, and there's a question, there's some judgment, self-judgment about, did I do it perfectly or not?
Yeah, and I'm, it's kind of, I think this is like connected with this topic of self-worth and how I'm afraid that I will not be a good enough listener and will not model the process good enough. But also like today especially, it's kind of harder for me, as like I'm not fluent in English and I don't always get all the phrases, and so it's kind of a just a complicated process to do everything perfectly, I guess.
So you're kind of taking the techniques that we're learning here, and you're using them and reflecting upon your own feelings of sort of self-worth, or what your competence in this, and there's concern about that. And I'm missing something. And you're evaluating that. In other words, how close to perfect is good enough, or vice versa. Did I miss anything else?
Yeah, I also shared about the language problems.
Oh, that's right. That's right, and that's very common. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. And then because English is not your first language, you miss certain things, and that also adds some stress and anxiety as to whether you're listening correctly.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just like this whole phrase was, I guess, it's hard to just speak clearly, and I know I can convolute things, and that is my time. So yeah, thank you. I feel fully heard.
And so you were again reflecting upon speaking clearly and wanting to do well and concerned about that. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Let's see. I'll talk to Edwin. Do you have time, Edwin?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good.
I'm listening.
So I think that I want to talk about, if somebody doesn't reflect properly, a little bit of what happens. and I think Lou really, he sort of laid down the template for me in the sense that the first thing you don't want to do is embarrass somebody. So you kind of see if there'll be some self-correcting or some learning through the process. And the other thing is to really give permission to people to mess up, to miss something. It's not a big deal. I'll stop there.
So in terms of how accurately you listen and reflect, that you really had learned a lesson from Lou, which is you want to give people space and things will sort of self-correct and also not sort of beat yourself up.
Yeah. And if they don't, then what Lou will say is that, again, like a teacher, you chunk it differently. So you make it simpler. So could you say one main idea you heard? You might, as a facilitator, you might ask the listener, is there one main idea? Or are there some keywords? Or can you reflect one sentence or something like that? So you can try that.
So there's things you can do as a facilitator for the listener. Say, oh, can you just reflect one little piece of it? Or I wasn't quite sure about chunking, if the speaker should chunk it or.
Yeah, chunking means grouping things in a simpler manner so that people can take it in more easily, especially new learners.
So you're speaking about the speaker, that there's things they can do to make it easier for the listener to take in.
Right, and the facilitator, being aware of that.
So the facilitator can kind of help be aware of how to do that.
Right. And then if that doesn't work, then as a facilitator, you can step in and role model the active listening. And again, this is a good time to think you're doing fine, it's not a criticism of you or your ideas or anything. I just want to role model this. It feels uncomfortable, allow people to feel uncomfortable. And so this is what I'll do. And so those are some steps that you can take. I'll stop there.
So as a facilitator, you can role model the listening and, try to just make the speaker feel at ease by, it's like, this is not criticism and let me just role model it.
Great. Thanks, Edwin. I feel fully heard. And I think you can have a turn. You can.
Oh, okay. Speak to Celine then.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel a little disruptive because, somebody was having trouble in other rooms. I can't bring them back in without leaving this room and then, dealing with all that. So it felt a little disruptive and apologize for that.
So you've been feeling that you were maybe disrupting this room here because you've been watching other rooms and you can't work with somebody in another room without leaving this one. So you apologized for any disruption.
Yeah, exactly. I did want to address the thing about saying I feel fully heard. Is you can also say I feel heard to my satisfaction. Is one thing. I feel heard because a lot of times I'm just speaking and whatever the person says, I'm fine with what they've reflected, because I'm kind of on a roll and I feel like they've got the gist of it, so that's another thing. It's like, I feel heard to my satisfaction.
So you're offering an option that one can say, I feel heard to my satisfaction, and be kind of relaxed about it, even if they haven't precisely caught everything that you said.
Yeah, and then it got me thinking about, we could have, I feel deeply and fully heard. I mean, I had that experience. Somebody just hears me so well, and you just want to say, I really feel heard. Like, I feel heard. I feel fully heard. Then it's like, I feel heard to my satisfaction, and I don't really feel heard. So it's kind of like a level, right, of what we feel. Yeah.
So you're offering that there's a different levels or range of how we can feel heard, fantastically, so deeply heard, or heard to my satisfaction, or pretty kind of heard. And that all of it is okay.
Yeah. The other thing is I have a sense to wanting to grow to hear more deeply, and that's sort of, as a facilitator, I feel a bit of anxiety in terms of managing everything. So my full awareness isn't in the listening. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm sort of tracking. So part of my awareness is on the responsibility of tracking. So, but yeah, and then I kind of struggle with that because I take responsibility very seriously, and I kind of get constricted around it, and that kind of inhibits my listening, I think.
So I hear that you really value deep listening and want to practice deep listening. And you're also with management responsibilities and a lot else going on. So it's hard to do deep listening while you're tracking different things. And that's not exactly your ideal.
I feel heard to my satisfaction. This is what I'm model at.
Okay. All right. And that's your time, David. So any questions or anything that came up for you?
I don't know. It just all goes on, and we try and we fail, and we try to be better.
That's a wonderful attitude. Yeah. That's a wonderful attitude.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. And Celine.
Okay. So I'm going to facilitate this next round, and I will speak first and ask you, Bill, to listen to me.
Okay. Listening.
Okay. I'm learning a lot from this session that is very satisfying to me. I feel like I'm expanding my understanding of this process.
So you're feeling that the session is valuable and you're expanding your understanding of the process.
Yes, because I'm seeing the flexibilities and the process has kind of an organic life of its own. And so each circle would be different, and there are no hard and fast rules that have to be learned.
Mm-hmm. So you're appreciating the kind of organic feel that there are, and that there's a flexibility within the structure, and so they're not hard and fast rules.
Which makes sense because we're talking about language and communication, and that's how language and communication are. But I had been really, and maybe it's just steps in learning, focusing on what are the hard and fast rules and how do I learn to do them just right every time.
Mm-hmm. So you're reflecting on your learning process here, and you're reflecting. Originally you thought, what are the hard and fast rules? How do I do them perfectly? And then you're kind of feeling that, oh, there's some flexibility here, and I feel some ease and some relieving of stress there.
Yes. So I'm going to give an example, and maybe this brings up something that will bring up something about a rule. I want to mention that when David was speaking, I think with Rachel, took a moment at the beginning to kind of gather himself up, put his head back, and took a few breaths. And I so benefited from that. I felt like the energy in this circle settled, and I loved that moment.
So reflecting on when David took some time to just sit in silence, and that was really meaningful for you, and you felt that had a really calming effect on the circle dynamic.
And I don't know that it would occur to me to give myself permission to do that. So I'm seeing that I have some notion that I have to, like a train, you know, we got on the station and I got to get us all to the next station.
Mm-hmm. So you're just, you had a kind of an analogy to a train, and that you're on a time schedule. We've got to get there by this particular time. And you're realizing that that's not exactly the case.
Right. So my learning has expanded and deepened from this experience. And I am celebrating the possibilities.
So you really feel that you have an organic, organic understanding of this process, and that makes you feel good celebrating.
And I forgot to set the timer.
And you forgot to set the timer. You didn't do it perfectly. Yeah. Okay, and that's your time.
To me.
Okay, right. Okay.
Okay.
And that's how it's done, people. It's just like, that's all it is. Okay.
We're real people.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, would you like to choose
Sure.
a listener?
I'll speak to David.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. So first of all, David, and I've said this many times, but I just want to make sure you know it, that I really appreciate your courage, as all people who do not speak English as a first language and coming here. I really, really appreciate your courage, because that gives me a window into your experience that I would not have otherwise. I speak one language with varying degrees of competency.
I hear you saying thank you to me and also to other people who come to empathy circles and whose primary language is not English, for being able to broaden your experience of just not listening to people who only from like English countries, but from everywhere else. And I feel a little sentiment that you only speak one language, and I think I felt a little sentiment in your voice.
Oh yeah, it's just like I realize that, and I respect people who speak more than one language. That's actually intellectually, there's nothing more difficult than actually learning a different language, and so I have a great deal of respect for that, and also not just the words, but the broader experience that you share. That's it.
Okay, so I hear you saying you feel respect for people who learn other languages, and not only like learning all the words, but like expanding the experiences and I think perspectives beyond like just one language.
Yeah. And I'm really happy that about Celine said that there's a sort of a permission to allow one to kind of feel into the experience. Empathy is about feeling into someone's experience, and that's not simply just with the mind. You need to do it with a little bit of the heart too.
And you feel happy about what Celine said about just taking time to feel more into the process. So like just not trying to understand and comprehend everything rationally, but also like just allowing yourself to feel it emotionally.
Thank you, David. I feel fully heard.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, so I guess Rachel, will you listen to me?
Here. Yes.
Yes. I think I forgot. I want to say something. Okay, yeah. I wanted to say like back to Celine about what she said about taking space. It's actually a thing I learned on my first empathy circle ever, and it's a thing that made this process like most like really valuable to me, like this ability to just take time for yourself.
So you're reflecting on Celine's observation of when you took the moment to ground yourself, and that it was something that you learned in the first empathy circle that you participated in. You found a lot of value in that.
Yeah, mostly, I think what struck me was that I can have like 5 minutes for myself, and I can have like, and I was kind of like, I learned that I deserve 5 minutes of an like unprecedented, I missed the word, just like a connection with the other person. So that, that is something that everyone deserves. And I always understood it, but just like that I deserve it is kind of a thing I think I had to learn.
So it crystallized for you that you deserve the time, that 5 minutes of grounding and time to reconnect, connect with the other person, for example, and just take the space. That this is something that really crystallized for you, is that you deserve this time.
Yeah. What I meant was attention, like just the attention of the other person.
The attention of another person. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what I think is the most powerful thing, is that we just can have just the purest form of attention of the other person. And that's why I signed in for this course, actually. So I think that's also one of the concerns, that I will not be able to give this full attention to the other person. But I guess it is a process, a muscle to be taught.
So it sounds like when you received that attention from another person, that it was actually the motivating force for you to engage in the facilitator training. And it's also a concern for you because you'd like to be able to gift that to another person. And you're not sure yet if you're able to always provide that, but it's something that you're willing to stay and explore. And learn how to do that. Yeah, train the muscle.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. I feel fully helped.
Okay, good. Edwin, will you please listen to me? Oh, yep. 8 minutes to closing. Okay. Yeah, I love this. Celine, I just think what Celine shared was so beautiful. It certainly helped me to sense into that serene glen with the cool breeze kind of feeling, like I'm right there in that space. And I think it was because she commented that it was a powerful learning moment for her.
Yeah, you're just loving this metaphor also of being in a glen with a cool breeze, which Celine had mentioned. So there's just really enjoying it.
Yeah, she commented on David's time to be centered and grounded. And that was, it sounded like to me like a moment of unlearning. Yeah, she mentioned learning a lot, that she's learning, but that to me is like taking time to rest and ease is actually against the grain of our frenetic pace of society, especially in the Western world. So it sounds almost like an unlearning for her. And I resonate with that very much so.
Yeah, so you're really resonating what she was saying. She was learning how to have more space, but to learn how to have more space, you have to unlearn how not to have space, or kind of be driving forward. And you really resonate with that. That's really meaningful to you.
And then when David was speaking just now, the word that was on the tip of his tongue was attention. And I actually, I was going to finish the sentence for him, and it took like a lot of my power just to hold and like not speak, right? Because my role was active listener. I didn't want to finish the sentence for him, but I actually could have. And then he ended up saying it in the next sentence.
Yeah, so when David was speaking, you could hear, you wanted to finish it because he was struggling for the word attention, and you kind of held off, saying it. And then the next time around, he actually did mention it. So, and you just noticed he had to kind of hold back there.
And it's just following the process, right? And for me, that was attunement. Like I have developed the awareness of when that happens. It's not like maybe it's psychic ability, but it's like it's a real empathic attunement that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Bill said, okay, I'll stop there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're really seeing that it's a matter of you were really attuning to what he was saying, or you're sort of like sensing into where he's even going with that attunement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mind reading. It's just beautiful.
Mind reading, yeah.
And then, Bill said that there's, we're in the thinking like headspace, but we do need to tap into the heart center. And that's just the final comment. Like I just see this real weaving of all of our speaking and our stories, and for me it's really all coming together. Sounds like right at the right time, because now my time's up, but that's like it's just all kind of integrating, and we have to be in that heart center, I feel, in order to experience that true empathic attunement.
Yeah, so you're really getting a sense of the integration or the of the heart and the mind, and sort of getting into that space. And we have to, have that for sort of an attunement. I was getting it, but
yeah, yep, we got it. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call a timeout real quickly.
Yeah, we just have 4 minutes.
Right. So I wanted to see, Celine, this is your time. It's a little bit truncated, but did you have any questions? I want to make sure. And then to the group, did you have any questions? Or, we can just continue to the end, but I just wanted to make sure that nothing was left on the table that people wanted to address.
So my question was, I did it. I referred to something that David had done prior, and I wonder how that's received in a circle. Did I violate any rules, or does it?
Right.
Is it?
No, you can go anywhere you want. You have really, complete freedom. As a facilitator, again, what you start to do is you start to read the room. So one of the things about, like, for instance, like insight is a double-edged sword. So for instance, if I were to, sometimes people will be very revealing, and they'll be talking about, so let's just say I'm talking to a close friend and they're talking about their relationship. I could reflect to them, hey, it sounds like you're having problems in your relationship. That might be something that I glean from there. To a person I just met online, I probably wouldn't want to do that, because that would probably going too far into their personal space. So that's it. And so you can go anywhere. You didn't break a rule. And you can reflect, but if you reflected on something that was very, very core or personal, you might get some feedback about that, something you want to be aware of.
Right, and my concern was, Ed's going to say something, but I said something positive about somebody else in the circle. I imagine sometimes it happens that somebody might say something,
Right.
critical.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe I'll just respond. You're free to say whatever you want in the circle. There's no political correctness. You can be judgmental. You can refer to other people. You can scream and yell. You can do what you want. And ideally, the person will have the capacity to reflect back what it is that you're saying. Sometimes people are very angry. They get a reflection, and that just calms them down because they felt heard. So you're totally free to say whatever you want.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And the other thing that you had mentioned before about talking to people on other sides of the political spectrum, if people don't agree, is that when you do respond or reflect someone without a judgment, that goes a long way to taking, pushing that temperature down.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, great
Very rich
session.
Great
conversation.
topics. Yeah, great
Yeah.
sharing.
And we have
Loved it.
33 seconds. Anything else come up for you? No? All right.
Oh, I will say I appreciate the California vibes. More, I
Right,
think, like we were talking about organic. Like I don't think it's by accident that we have this culture because it's like, you know, you three and Lou's from your area as well, I know. And I just
Yeah.
adore that quality in you. So thanks for bringing that in. I
Thank you.
feel it. Yeah.
All right, we're going, right after this, we're all going surfing.
Oh.
Hi, Marcel.
Okay.
Welcome back then, and I think that's all of us. Is that all of us? If all the rooms closed, let's take 20 or 25 minutes to reflect and to debrief and to give some feedback to each other about you know what the experience was like. So I have a couple of questions here. I guess we'd love to hear about how things were for you. In particular, how was your experience? How might it have changed your feelings about facilitating? And another prompt, what strengths did you notice about yourself? And in what area do you see potential challenges? So I guess I'll call on you each one by one. And I guess we have about a minute just to say anything that you want to say about what's happened. So at the top of my screen, Graham.
Thank you, Ben. I enjoyed the session. I appreciated it, and Dean was good. Is good overall facilitator in keeping us on track and giving us enough time to discuss things and to air things. The mood of the meeting was upbeat and jocular and good fun. And though we acknowledge that it can be quite different and we need to be flexible. Then you asked about facilitating, what do I feel my strengths are and what do I feel my challenges are? I'm not sure how to actually answer the question. I know, pretty much all I know is that I'm enjoying the process, I'm doing what I want to do, I'm doing what I need to do, and I feel that I am growing and I am enjoying the opportunity. And so that's where I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Graham. Rasha.
Hi, so we had a very fun session. It was very good. It was my first time in the Empathy Circle because I missed last time session, but I think all three of them, Dean, Graham, and even Merital, all three of them gave a very clear explanation of what an Empathy Circle is to begin with, and so that itself made the process very easy for me. And from then on, our discussions around the issues that we face, each of us were very clear on the issues. I think we had a very good discussion on that. We discussed about how, as a facilitator, we tend to have to deal with a lot of things like timing, and we need to be very observant. We need to say, keep everything in control. So doing a lot of things can be a little difficult, and even how listening is even more difficult than facilitating. These were some of the things that came up. Overall, it was great, but like I said in the group as well, knowing that everybody has these sort of fears and panics and difficulties kind of helps in a way, because at least all of us are together in figuring that out, and with experience, hopefully we'll just become better facilitators. Thank you.
Thank you. Celine?
Well, I really enjoyed the session. This is my second time to take this course, and I'm really glad that I'm here because I'm starting to relax a little bit and see the kind of organic flow of the circle rather than focusing on the technicalities. So it was very worthwhile for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Erin?
I felt this was really good experience to try to explain the Empathy Circle and to, as a facilitator, to introduce it, and then also to, try facilitating around. And in our circle, we covered a lot of things that I had questions about, and I felt like they were really kind of fully explored, and that that was very valuable to me. And then also I think also what was so valuable in our circle too was just like sharing what we're bringing to this training, and that on personal levels. It was very helpful, and I loved being able to share and hear others in that way.
Thanks, Erin. Sita?
Yeah, I had a really nice experience. I really appreciated our group, and just a lovely group. It was nice to spend some time with all of you, and yeah, it was nice. I found I appreciated being able to practice and also hear other people's introductions to empathy circles, and then having the experience of facilitating, and then also other people facilitating. And I found the humanity of all of it just very relaxing for me as a potential future facilitator. And I noticed some distraction with the timing and then also participating. Yeah, I guess that's really what I have to say to start out with. It was a really nice experience. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Madeline?
I thought it was going to be more difficult to manage time and facilitate, and also keep the circle, but it wasn't too bad. The thing that I noticed that was challenging for me is that I easily get tired, because this is like a lot of work for me that we are doing here. And when I get tired, I really get tired. Like, it's hard for me to just kind of, I mean, I don't drink coffee and I don't eat sweets anymore, because that's part of my migraine history. So I have to find true energy. So I think I will start out small and work on my own energy levels. I noticed though that the more I lean back and only listen and only interfere when I really need to, the better I manage my own energy. So this will be very interesting for me to work with. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Madeline. Sunita?
Thank you very much. It was thank you to the group. It was a wonderful space to practice facilitating. I really enjoyed it. I loved the feedback. Thank you very much. What I noticed was managing time and taking active part. It's distracting, and I still need to practice more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sunita. Shaima?
Yes, so for me, I had technical difficulties and I would have to leave the Zoom meeting and come back multiple times. And so thank you to Edwin for being so patient with me. I kept like re-entering, and thank you to Anne and Sita and Sunita, because I kept leaving the group and it was kind of a disruption. So Anne was really great about it, and she even said, like, let's learn from this experience. So we kind of learned how to handle technical difficulties. My group was very warm, and I just felt the connection and the warmth. And Anne did a really great job of like taking notes of her ideas and how we could improve ourselves. So I really appreciated that. And so I heard from my group members that one of my strengths was that I was friendly in my demeanor, but then, so that was a strength. And then a weakness I think of mine is that sometimes I don't say all the information I want to say. So I might forget something I wanted to say. So that's all.
Super, sounds good, thanks. David.
Thank you for the wonderful circle. I feel just emotionally nourished, and it was a great experience. I really liked that we all shared about our weaknesses and how this feeling of not being enough and doubts about self-worth are just like so common in every one of us, and this just being able to hear it and to speak it out, it just like makes, I think it makes me just feel better and just wanting to try to go on with all the weaknesses that I have. So yeah, I think we also talked a little some about trusting the process, and I like when you feel that you're not enough and you're in a circle, you can share that you're not enough, and it just instantly gets better. So yeah, that was really very, very nice experience. Thank you to everyone that I had an opportunity to talk with.
Thank you, David. Rachel.
Yeah, I was in David's group, and I'll echo the gratitude. Thank you for holding the space. I'll also say that I'm energetically I'm tired, but also energized, maybe spiritually on an emotional level, I'm energized that way, but I am going to just take time to rest now, get off the computer just on my own, because as someone who tends to be introverted, I'll need that time. So I think that the circle is a great process for both of that. It allows us to explore the inner world and then also learn from others. Like I learned a great deal from what others were sharing about their learning and unlearning. So just a lot of gratitude and learning and reflection of my own journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. I'll call on myself. What can I share? Yeah, feeling very moved by what you're sharing about your experience in these breakout rooms. Also feeling a lot of appreciation for this practice, and also for the time spent in the breakout room getting to know each of us there. And looking forward to next week. I'll call on the trainers. Dean?
Wow. As usual, I end these sessions with a whacking great big spiritual grin, because if we don't confront that uncomfortable space, we'll never get comfortable in it. And it's only by walking in the shoes of others that we realize, oh, it's not just me. And that's the beauty of the circling process. We give space and hold each other, and we are honest. And we have that space to be honest without fear of being criticized, but just being heard. And that is a rare thing. And so what we're doing is learning a new skill set to take to others that's going to empower loads more people. And it's an honest thing that is honest in a way that I've never experienced honesty before. So I always count it a privilege to hold a circle with special people. And thank you all very much. And I look forward to seeing you all next weekend. Thank you. Next weekend? What am I talking about? Projection. Next time.
Cheers, Dean. Bill.
Yeah, I want to also express my appreciation to everyone here and bringing their authentic selves, and especially for people who, for English as a second language, I really respect and honor your courage in coming here. And I just think that that's what's, we got to spread this, all around, because there's so much more that unites us than divides us, yet that's not what we see on our television screens. And I also thought about, just for listening to kids, So one of the things in special ed is that, you know, if you tell a kid no, put that away, you're in for it. It's going to be a power struggle. So one of the things that could be a technique to use with kids, because they're much more self-centered and they have a shorter attention span, is just start listening to them. And then you kind of, then they have to put the device or whatever it is down, and then you're listening to them, and just do that. And then assess when they might be ready to, oh, would you be ready to listen to me again? So one of the techniques you can do is to break the process down a bit. Thank you. I'm done.
That's great. Thanks, Bill. I guess we're into kind of final comments now. So Anne, Lou, Edwin, just thinking about kind of closing and final comments.
Yeah, I'll share. So I'm just so moved. Like Dean, my heart is just bursting with gratitude and appreciation for all of you here, and for what you've shared and what we've created together. So I was really reflecting on, as I'm listening to everyone, you know, we have created a culture of empathy here today. This is what I'm hearing and experiencing people having, and it's so beautiful. So I'm so grateful for all of you to contributing to that. And I also want to say to Shima, thank you so much for your persistence and your unwillingness to give up and to like participate. So yeah, thank you for doing that, because we need you. We need everybody, but you too. And yeah, so that's what's alive in me right now. So thanks, everybody.
I'll check in then. Yeah, I love this topic that about sort of the self-referential aspect of the question, and appreciate everybody's personal sharings, and it's quite amazing. The thing that it was a lot of sharing of anxieties, you know, self-judgments and like perfectionism, and I think David mentioned it, you know, really articulated it well, that when we kind of share that and have it be heard, it's very healing. So so I think that's a really great aspect of the empathy circle, is you can share anything, you get it heard, and you know, especially all those anxieties and fears when they come up, share those, have them heard, and then they kind of like just dissipate. Yeah, that's it for me for now. I don't know, I think Anne.
Yeah, it was an honor, and I'm grateful to my little group, being there with a group of wonderful young women who are there doing it so beautifully, basically. And even though Shima had to drop out a couple times, and in the middle of her turn of facilitating too, which was a shame, but she brought a lot in a little time. It was amazing. So thank you all. I look forward to the rest of our journey together and keeping in touch with you.
Yeah, so we have next week, I'll be sending out an email with assignments. We have, there'll be a link, hopefully to the right feedback form. I really messed up. I sent in the last feedback form, I sent you the editing part, not the view part. So I apologize for that. I recreated it and we'll send that out again. Again, the assignment is to hold another empathy buddy call. I'll send out a new list, so you'll be matched up with someone else. So we're trying to get you to have, connect with at least 5 different people during the, after each session. And then again, try to do a call with, an empathy circle with family, friends, etc., like you've been doing. And and we'll send out a list of the challenges. So next week, maybe Lou can speak to that. What's coming, or Bill, what's coming up next week with challenges? And I'll send out a list of those.
Yeah. So in next week's session, you will have a chance to practice your intro again, and then you'll also have a chance to practice facilitating again. But one of the things that will be new is that if you would like, the instructor will introduce some challenges into the circle, some of the typical challenges that happen. And Edwin will be sending around, we have a list of typical things that happen in a circle. And so you'll have a chance to experience some of those if you would like, and set the level of difficulty that you feel like you're ready for. And yeah, so that's one of the things that will be new next week.
Yeah. So I'd just like to add, I guess we have a question here. So to Sita, yes, deal with that. But I just want, in my country right now, we're in a great deal of political turmoil. And we see the contrast of what's on our TV screens and for what's happening here. And I want to go back to what, Lou and Edwin and other people, we created a culture of empathy right here today. So no matter whatever, whoever has nuclear weapons, whoever has anything, they couldn't stop this. And I just really respect each one of you and look forward to working with you to spread the practice. Thanks.
And I'll be sending out everybody's email list. So Sita, if you want to say, broadcast to that, say, hey, who would like to do an empathy circle with me? Contact Sita. You'll have her email, and do that as well as empathy buddy calls. Yes, I think we're all set. Is that it?
Twinkle fingers?
Twinkle fingers before we leave. So we always like to have those twinkle fingers. It's good to get those portraits that we send out to everyone. All right. Okay, see you next week then.
Have a good week, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bite a break.
Yeah, good
Sure.
idea. I do
Yeah.
need that.